Good morning, good evening, good everything. Hi, what's going on? I'm Katie Brannon, and this is Tea Time True Crime with Katie. Now, this case is devastating, to say the least. True crime cases are not feel good at all, but welcome to a podcast where I send out wonderful energy, even though today you may feel a little chaotic energy, because this case really got to me, you guys. I mean, I don't know why it brought so much anger in me. Maybe because it involves children, and I think that just makes me like past the verge of sadness to right to anger. Like, I don't know. And usually I do not like to talk about children, even though recently I have been, because it's just been like coming to me, man. Those messages have been like, talk about me. I want people to, remember me. So this case is like, I actually found it on an investigation discovery case. I watched it a long time ago, called Web of Lies, but now it's on like HBO Max. I think it is like an add-on for Discovery, maybe. But yeah, they have like all the seasons of Web of Lies. So as I was like doing my chores and stuff like that, I was listening and I started watching this, and I was like, oh wow, this guy is getting hate mail. Like, what? Huh, all right, that's interesting. Oh, he works for a televangelist, Joyce Meyer? Huh, all right. So as I start sitting down and getting some tea ready, I started watching, and I was blown the F away. I was like, I'm sorry, what? What? So, yeah, I have my notes here. I have everything written down. But before we get started, I do want to talk about this, not really sponsor, but a product that I'm obsessed with. If you are not menstruating, definitely fast forward. Okay, ladies who have their periods still. Yes, we call it the Crimson Wave. We call it Shark Week. But I'm about to tell you a product that I've been using for over a year, and I'm going to buy it again. No, I've been using it for 2 years now. Wow. Anyway, it saved me so much money on tampons and pads. It's unbelievable. It is called Flex Cup, and I have a picture right here to show it. I'm not going to show you mine because, it's in your uterus, so it gets stained, and I don't want to gross anybody out here. But the way that looks, the way I could describe it, it's like a diva cup, right? Which I don't like those. They're messy. They're bleh. These though, you can stick them inside for up to 12 hours. Yeah, I'm serious. And you're like, well, Katie, how is that possible? Like, it's scary down there. We have like, jellyfishes coming out. Don't worry, because when you go to the bathroom to pee, there's a little slit at the end of the cup, and the blood goes out of the little slit. Oh, I know! I have not worn tampons or pads for about 2 years since I've had this Flex Cup. I'm like, I feel like it's been 2 years. I don't know, but I'm just telling you because I'm obsessed, and anyone who is menstruating, it can be so annoying to carry pads and tampons, and now we find out that tampons are horrible for our body. It messes up our pH, and I'll be completely vulnerable here. I'll be straight up with you. Since I stopped wearing pads, since I stopped wearing tampons, it doesn't itch down there. Before it itched, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I found out it was the imbalance of my pH. I know. Late 30s, of course, I find out about this. My life would have been so much easier in high school, in college, if I just had this cup. You can even keep it in during intercourse. Your partner may like it or may not. But yeah, and then how you put it in, because I know it looks kind of scary. It's like a Nuva ring. Yes. So you pinch the cup, right? You pinch it, and then you slip it inside. And what I do is when I'm in the shower, you're kind of doing a squat. You get all clean and everything, and you just pop it in there. It took like a few times for me to like just get it in there, because your body has to get used to it. But now every month I wear it, and then if I'm worried about spills, because we cough, we sneeze, we have bodily functions, it happens. So sometimes when it's a heavy cough, or like a sneeze, or a huge belly laugh, maybe things might turn and something might leak out. No worries. Go on Etsy, go on an ethically small business that sells the cloth pads, and they're amazing. I bought 3 of them, I think for like $36, and they're like the big plus size one. But the most amazing thing about them, ladies, is that it doesn't feel like a diaper you're wearing. It's really soft material, so if you have any spillage or whatever, it goes right onto the cloth pad. And then right when you're done with it, all you do is run it under, water. That's all you do. And you squeeze out the goodness, let's just say. And then you just put it in your washer. That's it. That is it. And I'm telling you, it's changed my life, you guys. Like, I am so excited about this. I don't think my friends understand how much it can change your life, because I'm obsessed with Flex Disc Cup, okay? Just obsessed. Even my husband, I have not had a leak this whole entire time. And I'm talking about the scary first 3 days where you're like, what the heck happened in my uterus? There's some kind of like war zone or something. But yeah, I've leaked a little bit on my pad, right? But I never leaked on my bed or sheets. And thank goodness I'm with someone who never made me feel embarrassed about being a woman ever. And, but I did, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I just cleaned these nice sheets and I just stained them. And I was just embarrassed. But now he's like, baby, you haven't had like a leak in a long time. I was like, I know. These cups are amazing. And he's all excited for me. But yeah, if Flex Disc Cup, if you're watching this, you're amazing. Thank you for inventing a product that I am just so in love with. And yeah, guys, you can keep it in you for up to 12 hours. Don't worry. No toxic shock syndrome. None of that. Like, you're good. Well, this is longer than I wanted it to be. I apologize. So let's get on to this really messed up story. But yeah, Flex Disc Cup, you're amazing. Check it out. Thank you so much for watching that, you guys. I just wanted to share good vibes, because right now, this is not a good vibe. This is insane. So please grab a comfort item. I have my Sally Build-A-Bear doll that I'm just going to give a squeeze to. And the hot tea that I have on the warmer, it says Catitude on it. And actually, my mother got me this mug for this podcast. So shout out to you, Mom. This is total cuteness. Has polka dots inside. And it's a mug with a kitty cat on it. So, of course, good times. So, without further ado, we're going to talk about hate mail that actually led to family death. Yeah. So, yeah. Warning, viewer discretion is advised. I'm going to be talking about heartbreaking subjects, and I'm also going to be using foul language, because the hate mail did not have nice language, because it's, hate mail. Christopher Coleman was born March 20th, 1977. That makes him a Pisces. He was born in Chester, Illinois. He had 3 brothers, but people said that he was the quietest of the 3 brothers. He came from a very strict religious background. Now, I'm talking about a religious background. First off, if I say anything that is offensive to anybody, whether I've dealt with religion, views, spirituality, I do not mean to offend. That is not why I'm here. I'm here to tell this story. But if I offend you, I do apologize, because that is not my intention. Let's move on. So, this kind of religious background is kind of like the religion where okay, my ICP crowd. Remember that song, Hallelujah, on the Great Milenko album, I believe that was on, where they're like, oh, Jesus, help me for these sins, pay me all the money, like stuff like that. That's like the closest thing I can think of televangelist. Okay, if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically you would have not these performances, but these, I don't know what to say, rituals, practices, maybe? Okay, so, I mean, you would have like kind of like a snake charmer kind of thing going on. Like, come on, Jesus, come to me. Let's go, just very exuberant, very strict. It's a very, very strict religious household. Now, so strict that one day when his parents were out of town, Christopher got drunk and he felt really, really guilty about that. And I think he told a counselor or something, and he was crying because he felt extreme guilt because this religion will not let you apparently drink alcohol, but I think he was underage. But anyway, it shows like how he really respected religion, Chris did, and the family. So when Chris was 22 years old, before this, he joined the Marines, and he actually worked for a canine unit as a dog handler. And when he was 22 years old, he was at a canine training center where he met Sherry Weiss. Sherry Weiss is, by God, beautiful, in and out, people say. And she was born July 3rd, 1977. That makes her a Cancer. All right, so she was actually in the U.S. Air Force, so she's not a dumb lady, okay? Not only beautiful, but seemed to have brains as well. 3 months later, though, Chris introduced her to his parents, and they said, he just said that he was driving her somewhere, I think to Chicago, but then he realized that, they got married. And his father was like, wait, what? You got married? Like, that's weird. You didn't contact the family? So there was definitely very much resentment already from the get-go. Now, the main reason what the father found out is that Sherry became pregnant. Yes, guys, so it seems to be a shotgun wedding. And ultimately, the parents of Chris, Ron, and I forget the mom's name, I'll tell you why I remember Ron at the end of the story. Basically, the parents resented Sherry. She thinks that he trapped him. She trapped him into a marriage because she got pregnant. All right. But, I don't know if you guys know how sex works. It takes two. So I don't think she wanted to really get, I don't know. Anyway, the parents, did have resent towards Sherry. So, their growing family was happening because she had Garrett in 1998. And when she had Garrett, Chris was married to her. And he realized that he needed to have a good job, especially if he, gets her pregnant again, because, sex is happening. All right, so he decides to work in the security department of a televangelist, Joyce Meyer. Now, he started this employment in 1998. So it seems like right after she gave birth to Garrett, he started the ministry. And he actually moved up to the ranks to be one of her personal security guards. And I'm telling you guys, he made bank. He made money. Over $100,000 a year, which is 50% more than the national average at that time. So they had Garrett in 1998. Cute Garrett, and then they had Cutie Gavin in 2000, so a couple years later. They lived in Columbia, Illinois, in a very nice neighborhood, so nice in fact that an actual detective lived across the street from them named Justin Barlow. Now, in 2008, the marriage started to change. Chris started becoming like a macho man. He shaved his head. He became like very cocky. And, Sherry, she sweet Sherry. She would do anything to have this marriage be a marriage. She would never leave her husband. So they began marriage counseling through the ministry. So Joyce Meyer did know that they were having marital problems. So of course they went counseling. And, Sherry did say that he acted like he was all about the counseling, but then when he came home, he acted like a totally different person. Now, he wanted a divorce, but Sherry, like I said, she really believed in death do us part. Now, Sherry was actually born in, I believe, Berwyn, Illinois, and she was from a strict religious background as well, but she was raised Roman Catholic. Chris was just, I'm not sure what religion, honestly. I don't think it was Presbyterian, but it was definitely, they kept saying non-denominational Christianity. But that doesn't make sense, and you'll see why. But she was from Catholicism, which, if you don't know, Catholicism looks frowned upon if you're divorced or if you have a divorce. So no matter what, Sherry was going to fight for her marriage. Now, Sherry had one brother, and she had a best friend named Tara Lentz. Now, when Sherry, after high school, she actually went into the Air Force, like I said. Now, her best friend, Terry Lentz, they both met in Florida, and Tara just wanted to stay in Florida. And Tara worked at a gentleman's club. She was a cocktail waitress at a Derby Lane dog track in St. Petersburg. Sherry actually introduced Tara to her husband. And then they apparently connected again saw each other from a business trip in Florida. And all I can say, you guys, was fireworks were like exploding. He was like, Tara and Chris began seeing each other horribly in November of 2008. The affair was so intense that he actually flew her out to see him on several business trips. Valentine's Day 2009, Chris received death threats. It started with emails and then it turned into hate mail from his mailbox. Now, remember, across the street is Detective Justin Barlow. He actually lived across the street, and when things started getting kind of nuts with the hate mail, Detective Barlow started doing the straight for surveillance. Now, the email started off like this. The email said from destroychris@gmail.com. It said, "Tell Joyce to stop preaching the bullshit. If I can't get Joyce, I'll get someone close to her." End quote. Now, after that, they started receiving, like I said, mailbox hate mail to actual Coleman's residence, which is terrifying because that means this psychopath knows where Coleman lives. In the beginning, the emails didn't bother people because that's why Joyce said she had security for her, for employment, because being a religious icon, she got a lot of death threats. And it didn't really bother her, but it was very weird how it just, went to Chris and no one else. It's just a little weird. So he received, like I said, a hate mail, it's not nice at all, at the Coleman's residence, and it read, "Fuck you, deny your God publicly or else. No more opportunities." Opportunities is misspelled, by the way. "Time is running out for your family. Have a good time in India, motherfucker." End quote. Yeah, really, really nice. Very nice. So the family is on edge. They don't understand who is sending the hate mail, what is going on. They're just not understanding what's happening. So April 27th, hate mail again in the mailbox. Quote, Stop today or else. I know your schedule. You can't hide from me forever. I'm always watching. I know when you leave in the morning, and I know when you stay home. End quote. So Detective Barlow, again, when this starts happening, he's like, we need to have surveillance in the neighborhood. Who the heck is sending you these hate mail? I mean, duh, right? Like, who would be doing this? So all of a sudden, when the surveillance goes in the neighborhood and he starts having cameras, I believe it was outside of his 3-year-old son's bedroom. Like, he put a camera outside that window to check on the Coleman's residence, the letters stopped. Yeah, they stopped receiving hate mail. Coincidence? Convenient? Let me know down in the comments below. So the affair is hot and heavy. Tara actually starts pressuring, Chris to leave Sherry. And she gave him an ultimatum and said, leave her by May 4th. I know. My beautiful Star Wars peoples, not 100% into it, but people who I love and care about love Star Wars, so I respect. And may the 4th be with you. But sadly, May 4th is when she said it's over if you don't do it. Chris agreed and said he would actually send those papers May 4th. Now, May 5th. May 4th said there was a typo with the papers. This is what he tells Tara. There is a typo with the divorce papers. They had to be sent again. So May 5th. Now, Chris is like backed into a corner in a way, which screw you, Chris. But he knew that if he divorced Sherry, he would lose his high-paying televangelist security job. He would lose that financial security. So, at May 5th, at 5:43 a.m., he went to a local gym and started to work out. At 6:23 a.m., he sent a text to Sherry, asking if she was up. And he sent a text again to make sure she's awake. Okay. At 6:45 a.m., Detective Barlow was actually called by Chris to do a welfare check of Chris's home. Because everybody knows about the hate mail, the detective, it's well known. Like I said, people are on edge right now. So Barlow went to the house, and I don't know if he went through a locked basement or an unlocked window. I'm not sure. But he did notice there was an open window with the screen that was taken out, and it was on the ground. And as soon as he saw that, he called for backup. Woo! Sorry, I don't know what this was. What? Okay, sorry. He called for backup. Yeah, no, I'm not doing hand signals. They might mean something different anyway. Sorry. So when he called for backup, the police enter the home. And then as soon as they enter the home, you guys, they smell fresh spray paint. And when they walk into the home, they see like graffiti, like a message that was on the walls. And the message was, quote, "You have been paid and punished," end quote. As they go up the stairs and they go into the little boy's room, they go to 9-year-old Gavin. And Detective Barlow said it looks like the boy was sleeping. But as he went, further inspection, he was gray. His body was gray. He was no longer with us. Already a very sad scene, so immediately they go to the other boy, Garrett, 11 years old, and he is gray as well. On top of Garrett, on top of the blankets that was covering Garrett, in spray paint, in red spray paint, it said, "Fuck you," quote unquote. spray paint on top of Garrett. They're like no words. If you're just joining me, hi, what's going on, True Crime Kitty Cat? If you've seen any of my podcasts, first of all, I love you. Thank you. I do get emotional sometimes in my podcast. This podcast, though, I'm truly angry, but I'm not going to send that anger to you. I send you beautiful, positive energy. So I'm going to keep the anger to myself. But I just want to let you know, this case just infuriated me. All right, so these two cute little boys who were innocent, which, forgive me, I forgot to mention before. So Chris had a high-paying job. Yes, Chris is, getting his dick wet with Tara, whatever. But what saddened me to the core was these little boys would have on their calendars, mark X's, have circles, because they could not wait to see their daddy. They loved their daddy so much that the neighbors knew, Sherry's friends knew, Sherry's family knew. And even when he came home early, it made the boys so happy. I just want to let you know that. The boys loved their father very, very much. And now they're no longer with us. So after the two boys, the police immediately go to the bedroom. And they see poor Sherry. She is deceased. She is found with a black eye, and there are ligature marks around her neck. So Chris goes to the house. And when the police come out, they're thinking, Justin Barlow and the police are like, oh my gosh, how do I tell this man that his whole family is gone? I think horrible. I would never want to be that person to do that job. Tea break. Ah, yes. Clementine, stress-free. All right, well, work, baby, work. Okay. So Chris went to the house, and the police told him that, your family has been murdered. Now, what police found very strange is that Chris didn't ask how, and he didn't even go into the house to check on them. Even though he knows they have been murdered, usually, sadly, if a loved one is, murdered, the family immediately, runs in. They just can't believe it. They want to see for himself. But Chris doesn't. He actually just sits on the stairs and cries. So, police think that he is in shock. So they call the ambulance. And while Chris is in the ambulance, the Reverend apparently is with with Chris in the ambulance. I'm not sure, but a Reverend notices that there are scratch marks on his arm, and when the Reverend points that out, Chris gets so mad and bangs his arm against the gurney. Yeah. Chris is actually taken into questioning, and when Chris is there, he asks for a blanket. And what was weird is that day, or they said that room was not cold at all, and that the blanket, he was only covering his arms. It was like he was hiding something. Now, they are asking him all these questions, and he was saying, listen, at 5:30 a.m., he left for the gym, and that's when he texted, Justin Barlow time after that. But before that, he tried to reach Sherry. So, of course, the police are like, well, did you notice anything suspicious? Let me know what happened to this, to these events, what happened. And he explained that at 5:30 a.m., when he left for the gym, he said there was a dark colored car. Didn't know the make and model, that it was just a dark car that was slowly passing behind him as he was backing out of his driveway. So police, The place is surveillanced, okay? So what they do is grab the surveillance and realize that Chris is lying. Liar, liar, pants on fire. The surveillance actually showed he wasn't actually backing out of, his driveway. It actually showed that he was just driving forward. The car must have been backed in, So he was driving forward and he didn't slow down for any car at all. Yeah. So already police are like, I wonder why I would lie about that, So people, again, are on edge because you're getting this hate mail. Joyce Myers is, pretty upset about it. She thought it was very weird because she gets hate mail herself, being a televangelist and everything, but no one else that has been employed by her has received hate mail. So she doesn't understand why it's only going to Chris. I'm wondering too. One of the hate mail, though, that I didn't mention, one of the lines said, kill your family in their sleep. I know, which is very, very haunting. Yeah. So this is like a weird thing of fate. Detective Carla Hine, if you ever listen or watch this, hey, you're awesome. Don't mean any disrespect, but it seems like fate happened to Detective Carla. So Detective Carla took a nasty fall. They didn't say like how she did it. She just had a fall, and she actually had a fractured leg, and she was like on desk duty. And let me tell you, Carla was going through all the receipts of Chris. She was going through the credit card receipts and found out that Chris bought spray paint, cherry apple red, February 9, 2009. Now, when he was questioned about it during interrogation, he claimed that, he didn't have spray paint, but if he did, it was really old. But technically, during the investigation, the spray paint was only 3 months old. Now, I get that. I forget, sometimes what I buy or what have you. So he, may have forgotten. So Chris' parents come in and they believe that he is innocent. He actually said that, yeah, I remember that spray paint. We bought it for my son's my grandson's project to make a bullseye. Well, if that was so, Mr. Coleman, why wouldn't Chris remember that? Something so specific for the spray paint. First of all, he denied even having spray paint. And then he said, oh yeah, I did. It could be really old. If you're up for, if your family has been absolutely murdered and there was spray paint on the walls with messages and you bought spray paint according to your credit card receipt, I would find out why the heck I brought spray paint. It just seemed like he didn't want anyone to know that he bought spray paint. But the proof, y'all, the proof. So, police actually confronted Chris about Tara, about the affair. And he denied it. Oh yeah, he denied it. He was like, oh, I met her during a business trip in Florida, and we just send flirty texts to each other. All right, so the police go to Tara, bring her in, and she spills the beans, people. She spills all the beans. She says they are having an affair, and it is really serious, that they actually even picked baby names out for when they, when he leaves Sherry and bees with Tara. Yeah, they even have, these black, I guess, supposed to, they're basically black rings, you guys, that they both wear when they are together. I feel like it symbolizes a kind of wedding ring, but they're black. And she actually I think she was wearing it during the interrogation. Not sure. I keep getting mixed messages about that. So the next thing about this case is the bodies. So when Chris was at the gym at 5 a.m. and he said he was gone that certain amount of time, I'm guessing an hour, maybe a little over an hour, he's claiming that when he was at the gym, his family was murdered. No. The most famous pathologist, well, not the most famous, sorry, one of the most famous pathologists, Dr. Michael Bowden. Oh man, I'm sorry, Mike. Anyway, this pathologist, Mike, we'll just say that, forgive me. Dr. Mike actually had a series on HBO, which I've watched. It is very graphic, but it is very educational, called Autopsy. And I've learned a lot about rigor mortis and time of death and like what certain things mean. You know, it's very fascinating. So they hired him to be on the case because the detectives figured these bodies have been here longer than like an hour. So according to Dr. Mike, the bodies may have been there since 3 a.m. Yeah, that's like almost a 3-hour difference. So Dr. Mike was talking about rigor mortis and, you know, why the bodies were cold and why they were gray and not like the kind of bodies where you just are killed and stuff like that. So it was very interesting. I recommend checking that out if you are fascinated by that sort of thing. I don't know why, guys. Death always fascinated me. I don't know. I guess because of the unknown. Okay, so during the investigation, police are going through Chris's computer. Yes. And they actually found the hate mail. And they also traced the hate mail to his IP address. So Chris had an answer for that too. He said that someone hacked into his laptop. Someone hacked into his email to frame him. But it's not likely because he said he like never took this laptop anywhere and it was always turned off. It just doesn't make any sense. Another thing that didn't make sense is why would a man leave your windows unlocked if you and your family are receiving death threats? Yeah, that's what Detective Barla was very confused about. It was very easy to enter the home. It was like a no forced entry. It was very easy. And if you're very scared of all these death threats, wouldn't you be more protected and prepared? Yeah, I mean, I would think I would. Now, remember I told you that there were scratches on Chris's arms? Yeah, that may have been from Sherry, which makes it so heartbreaking, means she fought. She fought for her life. Similar DNA of Chris was actually found under Sherry's fingernails. Now, this is where it gets a little messy, okay? Now, as I mean by that, the DNA was inconclusive. All that means is just it wasn't a good amount of DNA, honestly. With the bodies being there for hours, DNA evidence was lost. But I will say that a marker from the DNA of Chris's, it did not say it was 100% his, but it definitely could have been a relative, stuff like that. But the fact is that it is similar to his DNA. So he is fighting tooth and nail about that stupid evidence, which I think it doesn't matter because you have scratch marks on your arms, dude, and you tried to hide that. All right, this is heartbreaking right here, you guys. Take a moment. I found this information, which I kind of didn't want to, so take a deep breath and let's hear about how he took these innocent lives. If you haven't guessed, it was Chris. Chris murdered his family. Yeah. No, his name's not Chris Watts, you guys. This dude was before Chris Watts. And what's even scarier is Chris Watts' dad's name is Ron, and Chris Coleman's dad's name is Ron. Yeah, it's really weird about the similarities. No disrespect for Chris's out there, but it's very weird that family annihilators are named Chris. Just saying. The proof is in the pudding here, okay? Each murder, this is what the pathologist said, took 3 to 5 minutes each personal strangulation. Do you have any idea how horrible that is? I actually was researching, and another great podcast you should listen to is called, I believe, This Is Monsters. I have Apple, so I listen to Apple Podcast, and he has a YouTube. His commentary is great, and he's very well at what he does. But I was reading the comments, because I like to read comments, because I care about you guys. I care about your opinions, your beliefs, and everything. And one person said something that made me so sick, it just put me in a different kind of mindset. All right, jump with me in this horrible shallow water. Okay. To strangle somebody, to have multiple ligature marks on somebody, that means it's one of the most, the guy said on the comment, it's like the most cowardly way to kill somebody because it's so brutal and painful and personal. Now, I don't think strangling seems like fun in any type of way, but the way the comment made me feel, I was so angry because these little boys loved their father so much that you strangled your child for 3 to 5 minutes. And they are, in the comment, the guy said he survived of multiple ligature marks, and he was describing what your body does. And he lived, thank goodness. He lived. I don't know if it was attempted suicide or something like that. I think it was, because I think it was, he said, because of a girl. Who else? But no judgment, guys. We all have different pains and things going on. But please know that if you call this number, if you are having any thoughts of suicide, please know that you are not alone. Do not do a permanent solution for a temporary problem. Please do not. Please know I love you. There's someone out there that loves you. I love you. Okay. So basically, to strangle someone multiple times, this is poor Sherry. The survivor of the comments said that it was so intense, like not to breathe, right? That your body actually kind of throws up because your body goes in kind of a shock. And it's like you're like swallowing razor blades. It's extremely painful. And you can't scream. You can't shout. It is, when I read this, I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. I've never heard of strangulation like this. You see it in horror movies, like I'm not making fun or anything like that. But then when you think about it, when someone really, truly strangles somebody, it is personal, man. The guy in the comment was like, you should have just shot him in the head. That would have been way easier than what you did with strangling them. They think it was a cord, by the way. And Sherry, with the multiple marks, she freaking fought for dear life. Oh yeah, she fought. I'm not sure who was murdered first. I'm guessing it was Sherry and then the children. But I did not know. Call me stupid, guys, but strangulation, like as soon as someone's strangling you, you cannot scream. You cannot shout. And to me, that is horrifying. This poor family, I think that's where the anger comes from, because these little boys, even Sherry, loved her husband so much because before he started cheating on her with her friend, before he started cheating on her, he started treating her bad. He actually started, saying things like, once they would have sex, she would be so excited because they never really had sex. And when they did, he was like, yeah, just because I had sex with you doesn't mean I love you. I'm sorry, what? Who would say that to anyone? Okay, so Joyce Meyer, the televangelist, said that if there was a divorce, that it wouldn't have got him fired from his career, but if he was having an extramarital affair, that's how he would have gotten fired. Now, I do believe, and there is evidence, that Sherry knew about the affair. A very good friend of hers actually said that Sherry invited her over, and she was like, hi, how you doing? Do you want to see who my husband is having an affair with? And she was dumbfounded, and she went on Facebook and typed the girl's name, and she was like, yeah, Tara, she was my friend. I actually introduced them together. And they're like, well, why don't you get a divorce? And she goes, no, I'll do anything to save this marriage. I know, it's so sad, you guys. Like, oh, God. So the damning evidence was Chris's computer and his many lies. The hate mail, death threats were on the computer. It was Tara and him pictures. There was things of him, like, masturbating. So I guess, like, porn. There was a lot of information about Tara, like, you know, her breast size, her pants size, he was just very obsessive, and even his future daughter's name, Zoe Lynn. Yeah. So the police are like, okay, so you're not having an affair, huh? And it's plain as day where he is just lying. Now, of course, you have his father trying to back him up and say, you know, he basically, oh my gosh, you guys gotta watch it. It's so disgusting. Basically, not verbatim, forgive me, but it was in the context of, well, I mean, if you're not going to be a good wife, if you're not going to respect the husband, he's going to look for the respect elsewhere. And it's like, excuse me? Like, that is horrible. Like, to even, like, mention, like, Sherry, oh my God, it just sickens me. I think that's where my anger comes from. That, kids, and this whole case is just, it just didn't have to happen. It's called a divorce. Okay, it's literally called a divorce. You know, there could have been a better way. You didn't have to annihilate your family because it destroyed a community. I read comments from when, like, the little boy's classmates that said it just, like, disrupted everything. Like, everyone was so sad at school because these little boys were loved. And just taken away from someone who they loved and cared about? That is insane. Of course, sorry, let me go back to the, you know, the father, narcissist father. He said that, well, if my son did it, how come there wasn't a drop of spray paint on him? There would have been some kind of spray. Well, let me tell you this, Captain Dipshit. He went to the gym. After he massacred his family, he went to the gym. He may not even have worked out. He may have been scrubbing his body. I mean, yeah. Yeah, he ain't getting out, y'all. He tried to have another trial because it wasn't his liking. And he said that the inconclusive DNA wasn't mentioned, but the judge was straight up like, no, this is the right verdict. Yeah, you're not getting an appeal. Nope. But I believe he got life sentences. I don't think that he got the death penalty. I didn't hear that. But I would really like for what he did to Sherry be done to him 3 times. Because he just, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't wish any ill will on people. I really don't. But this guy, it's a whole different thing. This didn't have to happen. It was a beautiful family. It just shook everyone. The detective was devastated because he got to know the boys. I mean, it's horrible. Let me know what you guys think about this case. If you are feeling of self-harm, suicide, are you in any kind of domestic violence, please know that you are not alone. And if you feel like something is not right and you are not happy, there is a way out. And I believe in you, okay? Please know that you are loved, you are cherished, and remember, you are doing better than you think. If there's a case you want me to talk about, let me know down in the comments below. As a YouTuber, thank you so much for listening or watching if you made to this point. I wish you nothing but happiness, rainbows, and butterflies. Please hit the like, subscribe, and hit the bell for the notifications. Until next time, I don't know if I said it already, I'm just like out of sorts right now. You're doing better than you think.